Well, let's go to something else now, because is the primary school day in Ireland too short, and would longer school days give children more time to flourish, not just to fit in academic targets? Well, with midterm break underway in many schools across Clare this week, the topic of the school day and its structure is a timely one. One Irish journalist believes there's a lesson to be learned from our European neighbours on how the juggle of school schedules and childcare can be balanced for the better. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Mary McCarthy, who is a columnist with the Irish Independent. And good morning to you, Mary.
Good morning, Sally-Ann. Good morning, listeners.
Thanks so much for joining us. Mary, you have been writing about this because you have been based in Belgium after being previously based in Ireland with school-age going children. And you are seeing features of the school day there that you think we could benefit from here.
Absolutely, Sally-Ann. So I've been living in Brussels for 15 months. And it's funny, I still get the midterm always comes up. It surprises me. Like, it's almost like, it's in the school calendar, but I'm always taken by surprise. But actually here, there's no panic because there's a lot of camps that are subsidised. Like, they're quite inexpensive. And they run for the whole day. So they're 9 to 4. So my kids are at a kind of speech and drama camp, and it's 9 to 4 and they get something to eat. And so it's state subsidised. So the breaks there's a panic I've been taken out of the breaks. I can still, I had 6 years in the primary school system in Ireland, and honestly, the maths just didn't add up, the cost of the camps, the length of the camps, but also, Sally-Ann, you were talking there just about the length of the school day. And I do feel that we need to look at this in Ireland. So here, the school day is about an hour longer, and that goes on extra breaks and things like more PE. So it's not more academics, And around that, then you've also got inexpensive kind of wraparound childcare at the school. So it just makes life so much easier if you're a working parent. It just takes that frantic, it's just very difficult in Ireland because you do have to work really because it's so expensive, So I do think the time has come to really sit down and examine this.
Now, I know you're keen to stress in your article, Mary, that your children had a wonderful primary school experience in Ireland when you were living here. But I suppose 15 months later in Brussels, you have been clearly shown what the differences are. And I hear what you're saying in terms of the breaks being too short, because I've often had the lunch boxes come home. I have 4 in primary school right now. And sometimes the lunch boxes come home that you've gone to so much work to fill, and you open the lid there at 3 or 4 o'clock, whatever time it is, and you find that 3/4 of the lunch you packed lovingly that morning is looking back at you from the lunchbox. And the answer I get is, I just didn't have time to eat it.
Dalian, I feel your pain. That's exactly what I had. Literally, my son would come back and the ham sandwich is there, everything is there, the banana is gone and that's it. And he's starving, so it's not like he wasn't hungry. But they want to go out to the yard and play, This is before the hot school meals, the hot meals came in. But even then, I'm hearing back from my sisters and friends that, the kids actually really like the food. It's gone down really well with anyone I know. But they often will come back with half, like a chicken wrap or something, and they'll just say, I wanted to go out and play. I didn't have time. So the difference is when my son was in school in Ireland, he got a 30-minute break for his big break. So that's to eat his lunch and to get out and play. Whereas now he gets 1 hour and 10 minutes. So it's a huge difference. So it's 25 minutes just to eat. So they go to the canteen and they get that, and that's enough time. And then it's just play. So when he comes home from school, he is tired, but he's kind of had his play. He's had a lot of time with his pals. So he's not as desperate for a school. I feel in Ireland, parents are run ragged because it's all on them to organise everything outside the school, Whereas I feel if you give kids, primary school children, more space in the school day, they get more play. And that's perfect in today's world because unfortunately you do have both parents working, And I do see now in Ireland that there's dads are taking on a lot more. I can see with my own family, my brothers and friends, that dads are taking on a lot more now, which is great to see. But it's still a real struggle because the school day is so short, and not every school has aftercare on it, you know.
Yeah, that's for sure. And a lot of schools are really struggling when it comes to enrolment. Those ones that don't have the aftercare, it's a major issue when it comes to school enrolment, particularly in rural areas as well, Mary. That's what we're seeing at the moment. Can I ask, what have you seen in terms of the change in your 9-year-old as he emerges from school in Brussels compared to when he was coming out from school in Ireland? Like, what's his demeanour, or how does he feel about being in school longer? Because teachers would say, oh, it's not a good idea maybe to have them, they do a lot and the terms are packed and they need their breaks, etc. But what's been his reaction to that change?
I do agree with Irish teachers in that they do a lot of academic hours in Ireland. But my argument is, why don't we cushion that out with more playtime in the day? And teachers are obviously wrecked because it's a very intense day for them, but you don't need teachers to supervise the school break. Like here, they employ from a real wide range of people, actually. So we could look at that. So the difference, Sally-Ann, to answer your question, is he's not as starving as he was in Ireland because he gets a chance to eat his lunch. That's the first thing. The second is that he's not as raring to kind of go and do things. Like, he's kind of happy to come home and just have a little quiet time, because he does an extra hour of PE, actually. Like in Ireland he did 1 hour a week, but here he does 2 hours. So he gets to do swimming, and he gets to do, he does a lot of play, a lot of physical exercise in the school day with he gets an extra 35 minutes running around the schoolyard. So he is coming out of school maybe a little calmer, I'd say. I mean, it's hard to kind of compare because he obviously would have been younger in Ireland, but that's the difference I see, is that he's not as hungry and he's a bit calmer.
And we don't have to go as far as Belgium either to see longer school days. I mean, right across the water in the UK, they have a longer school day, a minimum of 6 hours and 30 minutes a day. And also their school holidays are much more condensed. I think during the summer, Mary, it's only something like 6 weeks. So, I mean, are we becoming a bit of an outlier with our school schedule?
At secondary level, we absolutely are an outlier in the EU. At primary level, we actually do kind of average amount of school days. But you're right in that the UK is different. They do 200 school days, where we do 183. So that is quite a difference. But actually, it's also in Northern Ireland. So they're in school until 3:30. Like the minimum, as you just said there, 6.5 hours, compared to our 4 hours and 50 minutes for junior and senior, and 5 hours 40 minutes for the rest of the school. And, I just don't think that's enough time to actually cover everything. And we are an outlier in that we do have a shorter school day, whereas we might do the kind of average number of days, but we do have a shorter day. So I think that needs to be looked at. So basically what's happening is we're doing the hours, like we're doing the academic hours, we're slightly above the average, actually, the EU, but we're just shoehorning it into a short day, and we're not giving the kids enough time to kind of percolate what they're learning and to play. Like, I would think, like, to me, especially in the younger years of primary school, like play and socialisation and just learning to get on with other kids, a massive part of the day,
Mary McCarthy, columnist with the Irish Independent, thanks for joining us on Morning Focus.